Our story begins with a single flame. In the vast African night, it illuminates a human face. With fire came warmth, cooked food, and precious time, time for talk. And from talk came plans, stories, and the first mental maps of the world. This spark of community ignited the greatest journey in history as footsteps traced coastlines and crossed continents. From wandering bands, a new idea took root in the earth. Along the fertile banks of the Nile and in Mesopotamia, human hands pressed seeds into wet silt. The surplus from these first harvests fed not just farmers, but builders, artisans, and thinkers. Cities rose as vast memory machines, using writing, law, and money to secure promises across generations. On a simple clay tablet, a debt of barley becomes a bond of trust, a foundation for a new, more complex power that required rules and records to enforce them. As villages fused into states across the Indus Valley and early China, the clang of a hammer on iron announced another leap forward. This new metal forged stronger tools and deadlier weapons, accelerating both creation and conflict. But what can hold a society of strangers together beyond fear? Rulers learned to weave networks of roads and rituals, while philosophers sketched new blueprints for order. Ideas like Confucianism taught that family, study, and service were the threads that bound a civilization. In this search for meaning, humanity looked inward and upward. A shepherd hears a divine command. A poet chants by a sacred river. Judaism shaped a world of covenant and conscience. Hinduism layered reality with duty, devotion, and rebirth. Buddhism offered a path beyond suffering, its quiet wisdom spreading from remote monasteries to bustling crossroads. These were not answers to end-all questions. They were frameworks that trained the mind for a wider, more profound exchange of ideas. Worlds began to connect. In the first centuries of the Common Era, Christianity grew from small, determined circles into a faith that bridged languages and empires. The legendary Silk Roads cut across unforgiving deserts, while in the Indian Ocean, monsoon winds guided ships between bustling ports. These ancient networks of trust and trade are the ancestors of our modern world, echoed in our contracts, our markets, and even our online communities. They set the patterns for how we govern and grow. Imagine dawn breaking over the city of Chang'an. In a crowded market, the granddaughter of a long-ago ancestor grips a warm clay cup. A trader greets her in Arabic as coins clink and camels snort. From Tang, China, revolutionary inventions like paper, gunpowder, and new forms of mathematics race along these trade routes like wildfire. But connection carries risk. When plague later shattered these routes, the world learned a painful lesson about its own interdependence. The Mongol Empire briefly unified the Old World into a single, sprawling network. Then, sails turned toward the unknown, and oceans became highways. The Columbian Exchange forever altered fields, kitchens, and ecosystems. But this connection came at an unthinkable price, as millions were captured and forced into bondage across the Atlantic. When ships carry not just goods, but genes, faiths, and violence, worlds don't just connect, they collide. Out of this collision, a new kind of inquiry arose. The scientific revolution and the Enlightenment redefined truth itself, questioning who had the right to rule. Machines and factories remade the meaning of work. Nationalism raised new flags, and rival empires carved up the globe. 2 world wars burned across continents, followed by the rise and fall of new ideologies and the birth of new nations. We live today in the aftershocks of that era, facing its legacy in our digital networks, shifting climates, and globalized societies. The fundamental questions of knowledge and power are being asked once more, and as we follow the changes now beginning, the next step in our shared story may be the most surprising of all.